No, I'm not sure how much news that is, but basically TikTok's obviously falling behind in the AI
Right.
game. They had an intern, they kind of messed some stuff up and they got fired, I believe, pretty publicly yesterday.
Hmm. No, I don't know
Week
anything about
before.
that.
Yeah.
Where we've
BBC? I can send
oh,
that your way. BBC. We
we are
live now?
live. We are live.
There we go. Okay, folks, we're not we're not in a mad dash trying to fight content just before we start the podcast or anything like that.
Yeah, where? Oh, that you're texting me there. Okay.
Yeah. So listen, I don't know too much about this story, but the only piece of AI related news that I heard recently was about
Mm-hmm.
this. My understanding is that TikTok, it says owner, but my understanding is that ByteDance had fired an intern because they were under the impression that they were trying to sabotage their AI research. I think the main news here, at least in terms of the outlets that I saw reporting on it, is that they feel like ByteDance or TikTok are a little bit behind in the Gen AI space,
Mm-hmm.
which again, I don't know too much about the platform, so I can't comment there. But because of which, it looked like they had put someone in charge of doing some research. Between you and I mean, if that's an intern, that's kind of
Yeah.
on you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Exactly.
then they said the intern was trying to uh, essentially having the my understanding is like the results contain some exaggerations and inaccuracies, which I think is
Mm.
like kind of normal.
Yeah.
It's like again, I don't want to blame this poor intern. And
Right.
then unfortunately, they had no experience with the AI lab, and they ended up sacking them.
Well.
So uh, I mean, I guess some of me wants to think that this is like an honest mistake. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
benefit of the doubt here. On the other hand, I can see that they're in a rock and a hard place,
Yeah.
and they want to find someone to get rid of in order to say that they've resolved this problem.
Right.
Intern may not be the best person to get rid of, but at least publicly firing one person, I guess, it kind of
Yeah.
allows them to say, "Hey, the person's gone. We're still working on it," that kind of thing. So I can kind of get, yeah, where they're at. They said, or other reports said that it caused damages up to $10 million by disrupting the AI training system made up of thousands of GPUs.
Hmm.
Again, it seems to be hearsay. It's hard to tell what actually happened.
Yeah. Interesting.
It Yeah, I guess to me, what I got out of this is that there are definitely some people still trying to get on the bandwagon,
Sure.
and there are problems. I would say that are not unique to this space, but are prevalent in this space in terms of inaccuracies and a little
Right.
bit of exaggeration. I think that's something that we've kind of unfortunately gotten used to. But at the
Mm-hmm.
same time, if you're not handling that on the output side, you
Right.
can get into trouble. And then, of course, if you're trying to generate news articles and stuff like that based on this and your model,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I can see this going south pretty quickly.
Yeah. I mean, on the one hand, I mean, having an intern do that kind of job, it kind of makes. I mean, at Datadog, interns there's interns being brought in all the time. Well, mostly
Yep.
during the I guess the summer months,
Yep.
um, and they do real things. They do real work. It's not just like
Right.
nothingness work. It's like real
Right.
stuff. But there is, I mean, if it's mission critical for the company, you're not only going to put an intern on it.
Right.
You might have the intern on it with an experienced person as well. But
That's what I assume happened here. Honestly, like I'm
yeah,
not. I know I go out and say it, but
yeah, and
like you're gonna
um,
have someone telling the person what to do and giving them a
yeah,
little bit of guidance. I would assume.
guidance. Um,
At least how that's how intern. I
yeah,
don't know, man. It does work at all the other companies I've worked at, so I would
right.
assume it'd be the same here. Yes,
That
it's
seems
pretty
weird.
bad. Yeah, it's rough, but I do think it sort of maybe paints a picture of I don't want to say the laggards, but the people who are kind of just now understanding that there's some power here in terms of
Hmm.
like things that you can do, and maybe they were trying to come up with like a new product is what I was thinking because some of the stuff that they said, uh, yeah, is that like I don't know, like what were they actually doing? Like it feels like sunk cost is basically the thing here. So you've got GPUs that you're either renting or have purchased that have a certain amount of dollar amount to them. and
Mm-hmm.
because of that, some time was wasted on them. Which like I can see that being there's an opportunity cost basically. So
Right.
because this was wasted, it could have been used on other stuff, and as a
Mm-hmm.
result, they found a I don't know a fall guy or what have you. That's what it looks like to me.
Wow.
Yeah. But what else
Cool.
is new? Sorry if I cough or clear my throat a few times here. I'm just getting over a sinus cold.
Oh, okay. No, no, I didn't know. Did you cough just now?
Was
Oh,
just
okay.
about to.
You have it. You have everything set up so that you can cough without being on the. If I cough, you're all gonna hear it.
Yeah, fair enough. I just quickly hit mute because I knew it was coming.
It's good. I should probably have a mute button. It's. I guess
I,
it's
I
over
just
there.
yeah, I just put the trigger finger over the mute button here, so I'm
Okay,
ready to go.
that's a good idea. I should. I should do that. Oh, what's up with me? I don't know. Today was workout day. I mean, it's every Tuesday and Thursday we do. My wife and I do workout at the gym. It was nice. I'm starting to actually enjoy it, which is a plus. And
Yeah,
then we went to
that's like a key hump, right? If you're getting to the point
yeah,
where you're having
yeah,
fun, then yeah.
yeah. Um, and then what else? Oh, we went around to there's a new bagel place right by
Ooh,
us, and
that's
it's
good.
really great bagels. In fact, they have. I went last week, and on they have an everything bagel, except it's got a little twist. It's called the French everything, and it's got lavender as well on it, and
Okay.
it's like spectacular,
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I would have thought that would be
spectacular.
quite weird, honestly.
It would, yes, with a schmear that was, I forget what it was. It was another weird thing, but they went together so amazingly well. And we
That's
went
really cool.
today. We just walked up the street to with the dog, and stopped off there. And like, why is there no cars out front? They're only open on Thursday and Sunday.
Oh, awesome. I love that. No,
What?
I know it sucks for you, but I love that.
Yeah,
Yeah. Because it breeds scarcity, I think is what I like about it. So then like the fact that you like the bagels, but you can only get them certain days makes you like
yeah,
them even more. It's
yeah,
probably frustrating for you as well, but yes.
yes, yeah. So,
We had some
um,
bakeries here like that in the past that were very similar, kind of like mom and pop sort of shops,
mm-hmm,
where the bakery would be downstairs and they'd live upstairs, sort of thing. And
mm-hmm,
I have fond memories of going like the 1 or 2 days a week that they were open, and like
mm-hmm.
buying out the entire case. I did that
Yeah.
one time, like bought all of the bakery stuff that they had left, and just brought home this huge tray. It was fantastic. We feasted.
The one thing that I used to do for that was, have you ever had an alfajor? You
No,
know that it's a I believe it's a Argent no, it's Venezuelan,
Venezuela.
Argentinian. It's this thing that is like a cookie, and another cookie on top, and it's like a dulce de leche stuff in the middle, and then coated in chocolate, I think.
Ooh, yeah,
So
or like coconut or something.
yeah,
Yeah, this
oh
looks
my
awesome.
god, so good, so good.
I,
Um,
I had to look this up carefully because it's Alfajores.
yes, yes. An alpha, or it might be somebody else. I
Got
don't
it.
know. Very
Yeah.
domineering
Yeah.
service worker.
It looks delicious.
So I remember having it when I worked at when I worked at a company called Capteris. We had our partner conference down in Buenos Aires, and I first had an alfajor there, and then uh, and then fast forward a few years, and my mother's neighbor owned an ice cream shop here on Bainbridge Island called um, what was the name of that place? Anyway, and it was Argentinian kind of an Argentinian style ice cream, and they had alfajores that they brought in from where they every time they'd go home, and
Fantastic.
they gave us a few, and it's like, oh my god, these are so good. And then um, Datadog, every time I go to New York, you take the Amtrak Acela from Boston to New York City, and
Right.
get off at this train station, then walk over to the Datadog office. And as you're walking through, you pass by. There's a park, kind of. I mean, one of the parks that are like on Broadway. That so it's a triangular shaped park,
Hmm.
sort of a park. Um, and there's this little stall that sells coffee and empanadas, and they also do alfajores, and they have these alfajores shipped in like every few days, like
Oh, that's cool.
boxes and boxes of these alfajores. And every time I would go to New York, I would stop by on the way down to the office and say, "Do you have any alfajores today?" I says, "Yes, we do." "How many?" "We have 2 boxes." "Great, I'll take them."
Both
And
boxes, yeah.
I'd take both boxes. And I mean, they were like $4 each. So, it would be like a $40, $50 purchase, but they were
Right.
so worth it. And every time I'd always buy them out. And I miss that.
I'm trying to think.
Alfajores.
I've been reading about for some reason like sci-fi or something like that, but like I think space elevator is what comes to my mind because you're saying they're coming in every 2 days. It's like there's
Oh,
this
yeah.
there's this like massive train, like a
Yeah.
visual virtual train of just cookies flying from Argentina to New York. That's fantastic. And were the ones that you got the chocolate ones? Because the ones I'm looking at look
I,
like they've either got chocolate, like there's
I
chocolate
think
for
they
sure,
had
but
two varieties. And there's a
coconut
number
or
of,
sugar.
it's like a standard kind of dessert or snack. But there's one brand that's like the king of them all.
Oh,
And
is
this
it?
is the brand that they've brought in.
Gotcha. Is it Havana by chance? Because those are chocolate
Can't
covered.
remember.
All right. Yellow
I can't
box,
remember.
maybe.
Um, but they were, oh God, I miss that.
They look amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
They,
Yeah. It's like something very very different, but also special. I mean, there's a few like snacks that I love, or snacks, or I don't know if it's a dessert or a snack or whatever it is. Um,
I guess it depends on how many boxes you eat, right?
yeah, like regional ones that are just specific to a specific region. There's that down there. There's the Nanaimo bars in from Nanaimo. Was it BC? I think.
Yep.
Have you ever had a Nanaimo bar?
I sure have, of course.
Of
Sorry,
course.
I'm just answering somebody in the chat here is looking for Llama 3.2 on Olama.
Llama 3.2 was added
Yeah.
a month ago, 2 months ago, a month ago. I think about a month ago for the 1 billion and 3 billion model. Um,
Shortly after
the
I tried the one online that was garbage. That the Olama version
the
was garbage.
right, yeah. So then there's the 8 billion, 11 billion and 70 that are also supporting vision. And the 11 billion model is available now using a pre-release version of Olama, which is on the
Oh,
GitHub.
I didn't know
It's
that. Okay.
0.4.0.
Oh,
And it's pretty good. You need to have, I mean, if you only have
that's a pretty big graphics card, is it not?
if you have a small graphics card, it's not going to work. I mean, it's going to, even if you have, a MacBook Pro with 8 gigs, that's not going to work. You need more. So a bunch of people are kind of disappointed that they can't use it, but it's pretty neat. It seems to work really well for a lot of different things. There were, some of the Matthew Berman did a video about it and said, "Oh, it's censored to a crazy amount." The service he was using had implemented it poorly, and
Oh,
so
okay,
he
fair
got
enough.
really bad results. And it turns out the actual model is nowhere near as bad as what he demonstrated. And so a lot of people think that it's not very good, but it's great. Um, but that's still a pre-release. It should be. There's trying to make it. It still needs to get faster, and so they're still working on that. It is not supported by Llama CPP, I don't think.
Oh,
So this
interesting.
is something that's in Olama. So Olama was originally like sort of like this fancy wrapper around Llama CPP, and now it's
Right.
a bunch more. And so there are things that it can do that I don't think Llama CPP can support it. So
I was not aware that there was a Windows ARM 64 port of Llama, which I've got nothing
Yeah.
to
Oh, yeah, because of
but that's actually
Snapdragon.
pretty interesting.
I
Yeah,
think
that's awesome.
I don't know if they provided like hardware to make sure it works. I don't know anything about that, but I know that they made an announcement with who makes Snapdragon. Is that a company?
Qualcomm.
Snapdragon?
Yep, Qualcomm.
Qualcomm. Yes.
Yep.
So they made an announcement with them, and apparently there was a conference just recently that Qualcomm did, and they had Olama kind of plastered it on the screen.
That is fantastic.
Yeah.
Again, more curiosity than anything. I don't have any
Yeah.
Snapdragon devices, but I do find on the Mac side, what they call it, like unified memory, the fact that you can get system memory
Oh yeah.
that's not super fast, but can be big, plentiful, can actually help with these models in terms of running them. Again, going to be slower, but at least if something like this that you can fit into memory is
Hmm.
actually a pretty big deal. Because
I mean,
I maxed
it's
out at
pretty fast.
24.
And
Yeah, yeah,
actually,
yeah.
there's an amazing video by Alex Siskind or something like that.
Okay.
Great YouTuber, does all sorts of interesting content. He did one just the last couple of days about Olama, and he kind of pitted a Mac Mini M2 versus a Intel NUC versus some other machine that had a 4090 or 4080 attached to
Hmm.
it, like a small machine with a Oculink some
Oh, like a
connector
mini forum, yeah, with an Oculus
and
link to it. Yeah, yeah,
with that attached,
eGPU. Yep.
and so it's limited the amount of power that you can use, but
It's
uh,
still like 80% of the performance, so it's not that
right.
bad. Yeah.
And he was not so much. I mean, looking at those, obviously the Nvidia card is going to outperform everything else. But how? What about the power cost? How
Right.
much power is required to run the Nvidia
Right.
card versus the Intel versus the Mac Mini, um, and then also the cost. And so the Mac Mini comes in the middle of the three for cost, for actually buying the hardware, because the
Yep.
NUC was like $800, and then the other thing was like 1,000 plus 50 or plus 1,800 for the card itself, plus some other things, and the Mac Mini was 1,000 or 1,500 or something like that
That sounds
for
about right. Yeah.
for Mac Mini with 16 gigs, and I think it might have been a M2 Pro.
Okay.
Um, and but then how about power usage? For running a generation of on each of these things, how long does it take? And for some of them, the 4080 was a few like 10% faster, 20% faster. Not enormous, like not like. I mean, for
Not
one of the
90.
tests, it was a lot faster. I don't. I think how he actually did it was, mm,
Unscientific. Yeah, I've
yeah,
noticed a lot of these
yeah,
YouTube reviews are like,
eh,
sample size of one as well.
sample
Yeah.
size of one. Yeah, exactly. You need to run this like 10 times and kind of average the
20 or
results.
30. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Um, and so, but in some of them, they were like 25 seconds versus 29 seconds. It was hardly noticeable difference. Um, and but the power consumption was on the Mac Mini versus the 40 something was
Hmm.
like a quarter, or I mean, for the 48 it was like 4 or 5 times the amount of power.
The newer cards are up to 600 watts. It looks like they
Yeah,
haven't launched yet, but yeah, we're talking, and I think 400 for the
yeah.
4080 equivalent to 5080.
It was
A lot of power.
pretty incredible to see
Yeah.
how economical just in the initial purchase and the power usage, how great the Macs are. All
Hmm.
the Apple Silicon. I mean, M2, M4, I assume is going to be even better.
Right.
Um, it is amazing that it's took a while, but I mean, Mac has always been. I've always preferred using Mac, but sometimes some people have a point. It's like, well, you can get the cheapest machine for a lot
You're getting less
cheaper
performance.
on it,
Yeah.
but you're
Yeah.
getting less performance, and also the software is like tuned better for running on a Mac. but it's kind of a wishy-washy, hard to like
Right.
pinpoint like why is it better. But here we finally got this use case where for certain, I mean, depending on your requirements, if you just need the absolute fastest and you don't care how much it costs in power, you don't care what your electricity bill is at the end of the month, then great, go with that NVIDIA card. But if you do, the Mac is really, really hard to beat. So that was super interesting video.
Yeah, and I have a feeling that you're kind of getting to the point in terms of the Snapdragon. I think it's going
Mm,
to be
yeah.
similar performance. My understanding though is like right now it's mostly laptop devices that we're talking
Hmm.
about. So there's like a I don't want to say Elite or something like that, but there's a new version of Snapdragon that's supposed to be
Yeah.
very very fast
Yeah.
and very good in terms of power. But it's like there's one laptop that had it last I
Yeah.
checked, so it could be something that has yet to
And then they
launch or
had like
relay.
a developer hardware that they started
Yeah,
sending out, and then they stopped sending them out because they forgot to put an HDMI port on it.
Yeah, and the branding was wrong as well, or something. Yeah, it was very, very interesting. A lot
Like
of the reviews on
what?
YouTube were confused.
Like
Yeah.
maybe another intern got fired for that one.
Oh, nasty.
Um,
But these dev kits are, at least in terms of the desktop side, what I'm
yeah,
seeing is primarily dev kits. So
yeah.
I'm trying to think of the other ARM company. Oh shoot, the one that at any rate, there are a few vendors of ARM chips, and my understanding is that
Yeah.
there's yet to be like an actual desktop that you can buy,
Right.
other than like the server test
Right.
benches, that kind of thing.
And apparently, there's some OpenAI exec who is saying, well, if that's all you care about is price performance for per watt, then RISC-V is the only choice. But can you actually get that for in anything?
RISC-V is even harder. I think there's just this
Yeah,
year, a dev board. Because I've been looking into it. Like
yeah,
I don't know. Risk is the future, is the
yeah.
quote from that movie. The high five boards is my understanding
Mm.
of what you could get at this point in time.
I mean, I
They
remember
seem something similar.
being,
Yeah, go ahead.
I remember loving all the time that I use RS 6000. Who made that? IBM RS 6000, I
Mm-hmm.
think it was.
Mm-hmm.
Back when I was in college in the 80s.
Yes.
Uh, and they were
Just because it was risky.
extremely expensive machines. But hey, it was
Yes.
college, so
Was it
attached to
shared
a
or
28-inch monitor and in
in college?
in college. Oh my god, it was amazing.
That's a massive monitor. That's a
Uh,
very heavy
it
monitor because
was
it's CRT,
because
right?
they were CRTs, yeah.
Yeah,
That was at the SCRI, the at Florida State. They had the Supercomputer Research Institute, and
that sounds
most
phenomenal.
students couldn't get in there. I don't think they could get in there, but because I had, that's just where my one of my classes was taught, which was actually Introduction to Artificial Intelligence Programming, and that was there.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, this system's amazing. I've never seen one before in person. It looks really nice. Somebody wants to have a word with your barber? I don't know.
Like because it's so good
Yeah.
or so awful.
I don't know. I'm unshaven, so luckily it wasn't me.
Yeah,
Unscathed yet again.
I'm unshaven, and it's worse. I mean, so I as you can, I mean, you might not be able to tell because it's such a beautiful haircut, but I cut my own hair, just going, which is fine until you get to this part at the bottom, and
Yep.
then I have to ask my wife to like trim the back,
Yeah. I
and
see
she
you're doing
does.
your
She's
own sound effects work too.
G G G G. Yeah.
That was brilliant.
Uh, but my wife, it seems like every time I remember is just before we're like running out the door, and I keep
Oh,
forgetting to get her to.
of course.
So right now it probably looks awful back here.
That doesn't look that bad. Yeah,
But
you're
yeah,
I think Liz is gonna be fine. Liz,
yeah,
it's on the schedule. It'll be
yeah.
fixed. Don't
It'll
worry
get
about it.
fixed. Yeah, and I will shave. I will shave.
I find it rather interesting that we have audiences here for
Unless
just
she's
our
saying
good
that
looks, you know.
it is incredible. I
I
mean
think
that
it's quite possible.
I
Yes.
it's
Listen, we'll leave you to
I'll just stand here and look pretty.
it. I love it. Other than that, I think what else is in the news here? So there's a lot of announcements. I think we were just talking in the green room about Apple possibly coming out with M4s.
Hmm.
I think there's just more rumors here than anything else.
Yeah, yeah,
Nothing concrete that I can
yeah. I mean,
see.
there's been enough coverage about the October event is canceled. Well, there was never one scheduled to be canceled, so
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't
it's
hear about one to be canceled. Okay,
yeah, yeah.
excellent.
I mean, it's the thought is that there's probably going to be an event, and the thought was the rumors suggested that one of the things that would be announced at the event would be the iPad Mini, but that
Oh,
was just released like a week ago
right.
without any sort of announcement. It's like, okay, there it is, and so
Fire it.
therefore the whole event is canceled.
Hmm.
Not really.
Okay. I'm looking through the news, but the only thing I see is that the M4 is imminent.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't know if it'll be a machine I get. I don't know. The M1 is
I
still pretty amazing.
Well, the other thing is that okay, so like maybe I need to put on a tinfoil hat or something here, but I feel like when we're talking about these, so Apple traditionally has kept the memory on these devices pretty low.
Hmm.
If we start increasing the memory on these tablets, then the amount of inference that they can do
Hmm.
on die, like on the tablets themselves, will increase, which is really interesting to me. Because a mini is like it's pretty small.
Yeah.
That actually did have to cost, sorry.
Mm.
But if you can get something like that embedded into, I don't want to say like a Tesla, but some electronic vehicle, and you can
Mm-hmm.
add inference on board without necessarily taking up too much power or physical space,
Right.
I feel like we're getting to something where you could have like a HAL on board kind of thing,
Hmm.
which is pretty interesting to me.
Yeah.
All right, what else is new out here? I didn't see anything
I,
else in the AI space.
I saw that people are upset at Tesla for
What happened now?
using Blade Runner footage in the Robo Taxi announcement without permission.
I was not aware of that, did they? Huh. Blade Runner 2049 producer sue Elon Musk. Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Ouch. That's not good. Yeah, don't use footage from other people without
Yeah.
permission. That's just silly.
Um, what did I see? I saw something just the other day that was really good.
Wow.
Damn it,
And
I was I had it on the tip of my tongue. I was going to mention it. Oh, actually, okay, I don't know if it was good. I had to like speed. I watched a bit of it just because it's so weird, and then I had to speed through a bit. I was like, okay, this is just boring, but it got to some interesting bits. There's a documentary on Deanford, the group. Do you know the South African
no.
group?
Oh, yes, I do. D instead of die. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
I say it the wrong way.
Okay. So the two of them, is this documentary about them and about how how they started and how they were, they their child was born in 2001, 2002. They're
They were
married or
together.
they're together. They're
I
a
did not
couple.
know that. Okay,
They're a
okay.
couple. They met at some club. They started making stuff together. Had a child, but were uh, so broke, just barely squeaking by for a while up until like not that long ago. I mean,
Okay.
10 years, 15 years ago, they were
Yep.
still de- super broke. And then everything changed, and
Mm-hmm.
they're pretty huge now.
Yeah, what was
Well,
that song? Ninja, I
the
think.
yeah, yeah, Ninja, and I can't remember what her name was.
Oh no, I think the song was called
Oh, the
Ninja, but
song
yes,
is called
yes,
Ninja.
he is
That's the
also.
name he
Yeah,
goes by.
yes, yes, yes.
Um,
And then they have a DJ who's smaller
yes,
in stature. Yes.
yes, yeah. It's definitely a odd.
Yep.
I mean,
Yeah, but
it's
I think the whole band is
fascinating,
kind of like a shock band kind of
fascinatingly
deal.
odd. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Um,
The only other thing I saw on Fireship, of course, because that's where I get some of my news, is this Pokemon League. Have you heard about this? Unfortunately,
no.
hit terabytes of data leaked out of Game Freak.
Oh.
Apparently, because I guess the person was a fan and attacked them because of that and started releasing stuff, but not all of it.
Hmm.
And it turns out the root cause of all of this is somebody had modded a file as 777 or a directory as
Hmm.
777 and just essentially let the person in. That was the legit
Wow.
mistake that they had made. And then they've been leaking out a bunch of Pokemon stuff, some back
Hmm.
history on some of the characters, new
Hmm.
Switch 2 leaks, all types of stuff was in there, unfortunately.
Hmm.
Huge, huge mess of stuff.
Is so. This might be sharing too much information, but is
Mm.
Jason still all about Pokemon Go?
I should ask. Last I heard, Jason, who for those not in the know, is also on my team at Datadog. I just went to Japan, so definitely a good way to broach the subject would be like, did you catch any new Pokemon in Japan using Pokemon Go? Which is
Yeah,
quite funny.
I had a call with Tamer, and we canceled it because of the Japan, and I
There you
haven't been
go.
able to hear anything about how.
I
I'm
also have
surprised you
not.
didn't get to go to Japan.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened there. It sounded like budgetary concerns or something, but regardless, I helped them prep some of the talks, and I was
Hmm.
very impressed with the quality of what we saw.
Cool.
I think one of the things about this job, and not to speak too much about the inside of what we do, is that they're speaking for sure, which
Hmm.
I knew about before going in, but there's also speaker coaching, which I did not think I would like. And in
Hmm.
fact, for those on the call, like I used to have Matt do my dry runs with me.
Hmm.
I haven't done too many actually after you've left, and I should get on it more often. But
Hmm.
Matt would always have similar kind of feedback for me, and I think he's just being an asshole or being mean. And the longer I stayed in the position, the more I realized that he had a point, or could have said it nicer, or something like that. Or maybe I don't need to be standing to have energy, but like having energy is really
Hmm.
important during the call. What's funny to me is that I get a lot of enjoyment out of coaching people how to speak. And
Hmm.
one of the things that I've been doing at Datadog for almost coming up on 5 years is like whatever the yearly event is in Japan. And I'm not doing much. I got to be honest.
Yeah.
All I'm doing is shepherding people through that sort of content,
Hmm.
almost like verification kind of phase where they've
Right.
got an idea and they want to get out there and talk about it, but they're not sure
Right.
how to, or they're like working on some slides, that kind of stuff.
Yep.
In this region in particular, I found that it's like night and day between when I started working with them and
Mm.
now. I'm not sure if I've done anything differently. Honestly,
Yeah.
it could just be that, like a broken record, I'm saying the same thing
Yeah.
every year, so the people in the office know what to do to prep the
Yeah.
people so that we get content that's worthwhile. Regardless, one of the things that's pretty important in storytelling, I think, is it's something similar to the hero's journey, or
Hmm.
there's some sort of like beat where you've got like, hey, we tried this, it didn't work, tried another thing, it didn't work out. Datadog would call it a narrative. I don't like that term because it feels like you're trying to like pull the wool over someone's eyes or something like
Right.
that. But it's a
Right.
very story. So you're
Yeah.
trying to frame this with some sort of story. And this year there were, I thought, fantastic stories. One of them in
Hmm.
particular was about SLOs and how the company had tried and failed with SLOs
Uh huh.
a few. I think the framing was like our SLO journey. But what I loved about it was they implemented them, gave themselves high fives, and said, "Yeah, we're done." And they're like, "Wait a second, where are these SLI things? So are we supposed to be using that?" And it turned out they were using like just SLAs, and they're like, "Oh shoot, well, okay, that's great. Everything's rosy. This is fantastic." And they're like, "Wait,
Right.
it can't all be roses. What's going on here?" And they didn't have an error budget. And then they went back to the table again, trying to like dig
Hmm.
in a little bit more, reading some more books, talking to more people, and implemented different things for different areas of the company, which I thought was interesting. Anyway, a really good talk about how to start failing with SLOs, which I think is like
Right.
a good way to approach something new. So they bit off. It's like that old how do you eat an elephant kind of thing, one
Right.
bite at a time. So they bit off little pieces without realizing it, thinking that they solved the problem each time. But I think once they got to where they are now, it's way more mature because they've gone through the failure, which is
Mm.
unfortunate. But as a result, the lessons are really solidified within the company, which I thought was
Right.
fantastic.
Right.
So that talk in particular stood out to me, but I really do enjoy the speaker coaching, which was
Hmm.
a big surprise to me. This is
Yeah.
one of the parts of the job that I thought it's sort of odd to maybe it's
Yeah.
the egotistical nature of the job, or something like
Mm.
that. The narcissist in me wouldn't think that I'd celebrate somebody else's success, I guess. But yeah,
Right.
it's fantastic,
Yeah.
fantastic, fantastic. But all this to say, my Japanese skills are pretty good. They're
Yeah.
not great, so I can sit on those calls with them and kind of tell them like if their rhythm is off or if they've
Right.
missed.
Yeah.
But when it comes down to some of the words that we use within tech, even,
Right.
and not just like the English word used as a loan word, but the actual Japanese words for it, I get lost pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Yeah.
business Japanese is quite difficult. So I can do like conversational, but that's not the same thing at
Yeah.
all.
I
Yeah.
I remember it was always great doing those reviews. I mean, I never did it in a different language. It was always just in English. But telling somebody, well, here's I'm going to tell you a whole bunch of things. Feel free to ignore some of them. These are just, to help, and some of them are going to hurt, but I'm going to go through them all. And a lot of them were the same things over and over again. Stand up. You're going to be a whole lot more powerful if you just stand up, if you can, if you're able to.
Right.
Um, and there were all sorts of things that I would say, and then they'd come back, 2 weeks later or whatever it was to do it again. And it was like blown away by
Night
how
and
much
day, right?
better
Yeah.
the presentation is. And
Yeah.
anybody who says that they don't need speaker training, those are the ones who need it the most. Um, and and I've done a bunch of speaker training from others. And in fact, the big talk that I did when I was at Datadog on
Mhm.
Lambda, and I had 2,500 people in the room at AWS reInvent. I ended up Datadog wasn't going to get speak. I wanted speaker training. Datadog said, "You don't need that. You're awesome. Don't need it." And I ended
Yeah.
up finding somebody in New York based, and I brought them in, and I paid for them myself.
Mhm.
And it was amazing. It was so
That's awesome.
worthwhile. I mean,
Oh,
it was expensive. It was like for two-hour sessions, it was $1,200 or so that I paid.
yeah. I hate to say that sounds reasonable, but that sounds on par.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. It's not
And
cheap for sure.
no, it's not cheap. And but they're really great, and they often with speaker training is like general speaking, but this one was okay. Let's go through your presentation. Let's tweak
Right.
your presentation. Let's add more visuals to the presentation. Okay, let's describe
Right.
how are you going to use your hands for this presentation.
Ooh, I like
And that was amazing. And the other one of the other
like fully catered to you, basically.
totally, because it was
Yeah.
just me. I was paying
Yeah.
for it, and they were
Love it.
amazing. Um, Another one that I always remember, was one of the speaker trainings I did at when I was at Microsoft,
Mhm.
and they, these would always be 2 or 3 day things, and um, and it would always be a group of like 5, 6, 7 people.
Mhm.
And one of the exercises they would do every single time was, okay, everybody, we're in this room that's probably room for like 200 people if we were doing a presentation. So a pretty big room. Everybody stand on one side of the room, and one person go to the other side of the room. Okay, now speak as loud as you can. But like in a not shouting, but
Right. Your speaking
speak
voice. Yeah.
a speaking voice, and they'd start. Most people would start, and they'd say something, talk about something as, okay, can you all hear her or him or her? Like,
Right.
no, speak up, and go louder and louder and louder, and get to the point where they could actually hear,
Uh-huh.
and like understand all the words. And at that point, the person thought they were shouting, and yet everyone else thought they were just speaking a good level, not shouting, not
Ooh,
screaming.
that's a good
It was
exercise. Yeah.
just a good level, so that everybody could hear it. And then I would go up and said, "Oh no, you're fine," because I've done
Because
that so many
you have
times.
a
Like
booming voice as
yeah,
well. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I have
So
to work hard on it. I think I learned how to speak in front of people like that
yeah.
at I want to say like farmers market. We used to sell tables and
Mm.
chairs on a regular basis, and
Yeah,
it's kind of like hawking. I'd have to get people's
yeah,
attention as they
yeah,
came by. As a child whose mother
yeah,
had gone off to the washroom or whatever, knew that I would sell more stuff
yeah,
there. But the only time I've had to use it is in those vendor halls where you're speaking and
yeah,
it's just really loud. And
yeah.
like I've had to use there have been times where the mic hasn't worked, so I've had to
Right.
just talk over people.
Yep.
And funnily enough, I'm bringing people in
Yeah.
over the din of all this
Yeah.
other stuff, and I don't know. I found it very interesting.
Yeah.
It's like all you have to do is have that voice. Your content doesn't
Yeah.
even need to be good, at least, but you'll rope them in, kind of thing. At
Yeah.
least get them to scan your QR code and you brought them over, which is the whole goal of these, as far as I can tell. Like if they watch your content and ask you questions, that's amazing, but it's pretty rare.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
Wow. Yeah. So Point Aveugle, I think you're talking about the Fireship video we were talking about
Oh, okay.
regarding the Switch and the link at the leak. I think your rag is actually right. So, having watched the video, I think it was called the Ounce and is now nicknamed Gaia. So I
Mm.
think your rag did in fact work, but
What is
I guess
special about the new Switch?
it. Well, it's all hearsay. It's got 16 gigabytes of memory, apparently. New Snapdragon chip, apparently. It is similar in size, and I think the big thing that people are talking about is that the format of the software or the games or what have you is going to be the same, which may or may not be why. And Nintendo's going after all these Switch emulators that are out there because they may
Mm.
actually be Switch 2 emulators as well. This is the current kind of I don't know theory about why that happened.
Does it still not support like Bluetooth headphones?
It does now, yeah.
Oh, it does.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So I think last week we talked about I'd purchased a Steam Deck, so I've been kind of comparing the
Mm-hmm.
two in terms of what they do and what they don't. It does support Bluetooth, but one thing that the Steam Deck does, and I guess this is really funny for me as someone who like abhors Linux sound,
Mm-hmm.
I will die on this hill because
Mm.
I've been through these battles. What's interesting is the biggest thing I like about the Steam Deck is that it's got an audio mixer that works. So it's not Elsa or
Mm.
whatever it is that used to really bother me, or GStreamer or what have you.
Right.
But you can turn the game down and turn your media up,
Okay.
which is actually pretty interesting. On the Switch, you can't do that, so it's
Mm.
all together. So if you want to listen to music and play a game, it's actually a total pain.
Mm-hmm.
But what's interesting about the Steam Deck, at least, is that you can do that, and yes, they both support Bluetooth headsets, which is
Right.
kind of nice. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, it is supposed to be Ounce, I think, yeah, but I think it actually is Gaia now. So right at the end of that video, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it is in fact Gaia at this point in time.
Hmm.
So I think your
I
models might be correct. I don't want to say you're
I
wrong.
I I have a Switch that is the Switch Lite
Yep,
because right at the beginning of COVID, that was the only one you could get.
right.
Um, and no game ever grabbed me fully. Never to like finish. I ended up getting a lot of games, but none of them like that compelling.
Yeah, fair enough.
Um,
There's a couple questions here about running Olama on the Steam Deck. I have not because I bought the refurbished, cheapest version I could find, just to say that I run Arch Linux. But I can try it out. My understanding is that you'd be running in CPU mode, not
mm,
in GPU mode, and that the performance won't be great as a result. But I would say 3.2 might actually run okay on it based on the size.
the
I
one
think
billion
it's
parameter. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Like the smaller version.
Hmm.
I've been really impressed with 3.2 actually on
Yeah.
smaller CPU only systems.
Yeah.
I really feel like it's a big jump forward in terms of
Hmm.
smaller models giving
Right.
great results
Yeah.
on small requirements. Like it's actually pretty
Yeah.
incredible. Yeah, not gonna lie.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Uh,
pretty mind blowing how powerful and good it is a lot of the time.
yeah, I'm not gonna say like 100% accurate, but the accuracy is pretty good
Yeah.
actually. Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people will say, "Oh, well, for like with 3.1, the 70 billion is just so much better than 8 or
ooh, good
whatever."
luck running it though.
And
Yeah,
but then they'll look at the answer, looking at the answers that are produced for any given question and having a few of them on the screen.
they're
I
so
doubt you'd
similar.
be able to. I doubt
Yeah,
you'd tell
exactly.
which
I
one's
can't
which,
tell the difference.
and so people will say, "Oh, well, it's better because of some benchmark number," and usually that's just total BS. They have no idea what they're talking about. It
Yeah, I
is
mean,
not.
maybe for coding or something like that, it
No,
may be less tries
sometimes
or
not even
something.
that.
Oh, really? Okay, fair enough.
Yeah,
Like that's the only thing I can really think of is that
yeah,
sometimes in coding, like I don't know, you run out of tokens
yeah,
because it wasn't thinking beforehand, like how much you can return, or I don't know what's going on, but like
yeah.
it might get truncated or something like
Right.
that. But like, like it's generally pretty good.
Yeah.
So about these two devices. So I did have a point, I promise.
Hmm.
I have purchased something yet again. I apologize. I was on Amazon warehouse, looking for. I think they call it the Deal Store now. They've had a little bit of a rebranding, at least in Canada. But on the Deal Store, I found a used BenQ GB31. So it's a portable projector that
Hmm.
kind of looks like a robot vacuum on its side. So it's
Yeah, I
circular.
thought it was like a
Oh,
fan. Yeah, okay.
it does look like a fan. I think it's actually a Bluetooth speaker that they decided to like shoehorn a projector into. 'Cause it's a pretty good speaker, and the
Yeah,
whole round side of it is like it's a speaker,
yeah.
and it sounds really good as a result. I didn't realize it was portable, one, but it was $250
Huh,
refurbished or used or what
okay.
have you. And my partner's like, "Don't buy that. There's gonna be something wrong with it. Like this is ridiculous." And I was like, "Oh shoot. Well, I've wanted a projector for a while. Whatever. I'll wait a bit more."
Yeah,
And she's like, "No, no, buy the newer one. Don't go 720p. Don't go
right.
used. Get
Yeah,
like 1080p, like brand new one." So I think it was at least in Canadian closer to $800 at the end of the day.
yeah,
It is portable. It is awesome. It's a lot of money
yeah,
for what I'm using it for, but it's amazing
yeah.
as, wait for it, a skylight. So at night, you can project the projector on the ceiling and use stock footage of like just clouds passing by.
Uh-huh.
Like it actually fooled me. I was having a laughing fit because it looks like there's a bezel, I guess, because of the auto keystoning
Yeah.
that makes it look like a window as if it's bezeled out. I'll send you
Wow.
a text with a picture of it, but it was
Yeah,
I wasn't feeling that I was sick, so like I was
yeah,
just looking at
yeah,
the ceiling kind of thing. It was like remarkably relaxing
yeah.
just having the stuff going by. But it's pretty bright. Does autofocus, which I didn't realize was the thing in
Mm,
projectors, and does auto keystoning, but only
yep.
does vertical keystoning as opposed to
Mm,
horizontal.
okay.
So good and bad. I guess
Yeah.
it's still affordable in the projector kind of space, but for the Switch or for the
Hmm.
Steam Deck, you plug in one USB-C cable, no power cable, and it will charge your Steam Deck as well as
Wow.
project on the wall. I should put quotes in there on the Steam Deck charges. It doesn't give enough power to charge the Steam Deck. It will keep the Switch charged. It
Yep.
probably will not keep the Steam Deck charged, and it will run for about 3 hours. It is surprisingly entertaining just to like play
Hmm.
Switch on your bed upside down. I was playing Into the Breach. I think is it's
Uh-huh.
like a rogue light uh, strategy RPG game. Anyway,
Uh-huh.
good game, but very easy to play. You can
Yeah.
almost do it one handed kind of thing. Even just watching YouTube, like
Yeah.
laying down, looking up, is
Yeah.
remarkably great, especially if you get like a sinus cold where standing up means that the sinuses are evacuating.
Yeah.
It was perfect. Um,
Wow.
I don't want to return it. I brought it to the studio yesterday to see if I could shoot with it. I maybe try that again. But
Yeah.
like it's got a little I think a lot of them do a little like receptacle to turn like a tripod into it or something
Okay.
like that. So I used that at the studio and again was really surprised, one with the
Like
brightness
as
and the
a
portability.
gobo kind of thing.
Yeah, like I could put it behind somebody and maybe have like a field, I don't know, and
Right.
take photos as if they're in that field.
Yeah.
Was kind of the plan, or something spacey or
Mm,
something silly like that. I've done the projecting patterns on
yeah.
people before, which is pretty good on like an office projector, one that's
Yep.
made for like VGA is perfect. This one I'd like to try video and see if that works,
Yeah.
but we'll
Yeah.
see how it goes. But yeah,
Wow.
been pleasantly surprised with. I think most new projectors are just like this. There's a whole category of portable projectors now that I wasn't aware of. But there's
Yeah.
like the Mars one, I think from oh one of those cable companies. There's the Samsung one as well,
Hmm.
which is pretty powerful. And I think this is kind of like the third or maybe fourth tier
Hmm.
device. But yeah, it's fantastic so far.
I was thinking about, remember those projectors that like little projectors that would just sit on your desk and show a keyboard?
Yes, yes. And it was using lidar or something to, or maybe it was laser
Yeah,
to
I
check where
mean,
your fingers were. Yeah,
yeah,
looks so cool. Apparently, it was terrible because
terrible.
one finger would like put a shadow,
Right.
so they
Yeah.
couldn't detect the other finger.
Yeah.
So if you type one at a time, it's fine.
Right.
But if you try to have
Yes.
it like this, it's not going to work.
And then thinking of the speaker, it reminded me of. Did you ever get the speaker that you? I, I feel this is like about 10 years ago, 15 years ago. Get a speaker that had like a suction cup, and you stuck it to any window, and then the window
It would use the
became the
window.
speaker.
Ah, I haven't, but I do love when things do that. Yeah.
Yeah. and it was pretty good. I mean, it wasn't great, but it was like
Yeah,
a $15 gadget
right.
that makes. I mean, it says it'll make a massive speaker. Well, sort of a massive,
A
kind
medium
of
small
tinny
speaker.
speaker.
Yeah, depending on the size
But
of your windows, I guess.
yeah, yeah.
Now,
Um,
can people hear it on the other side though?
I don't
I would
know.
assume
I
they
don't.
would. They
I
would have to.
never. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder. So, like,
Um,
if you're in an office, maybe not ideal.
yeah, yeah, not ideal. Your
Or like
cubicle wall is glass. Don't use that.
your
No.
neighbor would. Well, that
Yeah,
might be a good way to abuse your
yeah,
neighbor, I guess.
yeah, yeah. Um,
What about yourself? Any checkouts? Did you watch anything that we should know about? Did you finish
um,
Bad Monkey? I've got about 30
I
minutes left in
did.
the last episode.
I
Okay.
did want. I enjoyed that.
I won't spoil it, but the beginning of that episode threw me for a loop. I had no idea that that person would meet their demise.
yes, yes. Yeah. But I no. I mean, I mentioned the Danford. The what else? I don't know what else we've been watching. Oh, Lioness
Oh, haven't heard of this.
with the Zoe, the woman who was like on the original Avatar. Um,
Saldana?
huh?
Zoe Saldana? I
Yes,
literally
her.
Googled this. Sorry.
Yes,
I don't know who that is. I'm so sorry.
Zoe
I should. I
Saldana.
should.
Um,
Has some pretty
and
good reviews.
who else? Who was Tom Cruise's ex-wife? Was it? I think
Nicole Kidman?
Kidman. Yes,
Kidman? Yeah. Yeah, this looks really cool.
really,
That should
very
look.
good.
Oh, and Morgan Freeman.
Morgan
Wow.
Freeman. Yeah. Oh, like in like one or two episodes. He wasn't that good.
Gotcha. Okay.
Um,
Just brought him in. Oh, somebody wants.
Jade,
Someone else has a recommendation.
Jade, you out there?
Jade, tell us about your new kibbles.
Yeah. Um,
This looks good. And where do we watch this? Paramount Plus.
I saw on Prime,
Okay.
Amazon Prime. It's on for another week, and then it goes to Paramount only.
Oh, that's how
Um,
they get you. We
yeah.
pay for Paramount Plus at least right now, so
Okay.
I'll try to watch it on there.
Yeah, and I think there's a second season on Paramount
Oh, okay,
that
good.
is not
Second
available
season
on
comes
Prime.
out in on the 27th, so in 5 days.
Oh,
This Matt specifically is how they get you. They give you a whole first season
oh, so
free.
season 2 comes out on the 27th.
Which is probably why it's free on Prime right now. Like
Yes.
prior to, yeah.
Yes.
That's smart though. I'll watch it on
It's
Prime. That's
it's
fantastic.
the first episode I'm not sure. I think yeah, the first episode was pretty good. And really pulled me in quick.
This
Um,
looks like the it's got Michael Kelly in it too. He's really good. Like House of
oh,
Cards, kind of. He was the person sort of off to the
yes.
sides, ball
Yes.
guy. Yeah. I,
Yes.
I again pretend to know his name, but just saw
Yeah.
it in the preview with his name under it. So
Yes. Yeah.
this looks like a very American slow horses.
Yeah. I mean it there was another
There's
one
a
that
lot of
reminded me of.
explosions and stuff. It looks pretty cool though.
There's also I mean there's some violence in it.
Fair enough. I will say
There's
we can hear
yep.
your rapper there, whatever you're doing, folding your bills.
Yeah. It's on my water bottle, which I think is in the car. Okay, and then it's in the laundry room.
She forgot the dog.
um,
Yeah, this looks great. I'll definitely
yeah.
watch this.
I mean, there's
I'm a
like
big fan of
waterboarding, and some other torture kind of stuff in there as well. But
of course.
generally, it's pretty good.
That is fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, I have a hard stop at the
Oh,
hour. We
okay.
could
So
end now if that
then
works. I don't think we've got any
let me
more.
come up with something that holds you here for another 12 minutes. Who was it with anybody important?
No, no. I'm more important than you, Matt. No, that's impossible.
Okay, good answer. All right.
Do
Well,
you
I guess
know?
we'll.
Well, there's one question in here that I think is pretty interesting. Bartowski released Minstrel on Hugging Face yesterday.
Oh,
You heard
okay.
of this? I had not heard of Minstrel.
I don't know anything about it. I mean, I know Minstrel, as in Mistral, but I wouldn't know anything special about it.
I think Minstrel is what they're saying.
Yeah.
Unless, yeah. Minstrel 8B. Hmm, very interesting. All right, folks.
Yeah.
We shall see you later. I will try out Minstrel and see if it,
Okay.
if
Oh,
it
it's a small model? No, it's not
looks
that
like.
small.
It's 8B. This is
Okay.
smaller. But yeah.
Smaller. Yeah, I mean, because their last one was small at 22.
Yeah. Small for
Huge.
them. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
Okay.
folks. Thank you so much again
Thank
for the
you.
questions. This is fantastic.
Yeah,
But
that
yes,
was
have
fun.
a great day, everybody.
Ready. Bye.
Bye.
I think I stopped.